Have you ever felt that quiet, heavy frustration? The kind that builds when you give everything to a relationship, when you're the most loyal, patient, and understanding woman, yet somehow he still doesn't take you seriously. That painful realization that you're treated like a backup plan, a safe place he knows he can return to, but not like the one woman he fears losing above all else. It's a silent wound many women carry. You try harder, you compromise, you soften your edges, you silence your needs so you don't seem too emotional or too much. You hope that your kindness, your unwavering devotion will earn his respect. But instead of appreciation, you get indifference. Instead of closeness, you get confusion. And eventually, with a heart full of unanswered questions, you ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Why isn't my love enough for him to truly value me? Take a deep breath, because the answer is not what you expect, but it will set you free. The problem isn't your capacity to love, it's the attitude from which you've been loving. You've been following a roadmap that led you somewhere you never wanted to be. Because here's the truth. There's a powerful psychological dynamic at play, one so real that most men don't even understand it consciously, but they react to it instinctively. It comes down to one core feminine attitude, a kind of inner posture. And when a woman lives from this space, something shifts in a man. He can't help but start taking her seriously. Why? Because it touches the most primal fear in him, the fear of losing her. And it is that fear, not your effort, not your sacrifice, that awakens his respect and admiration. In this video, I won't be giving you surface-level advice. I won't teach you tricks. What I'm about to share is a complete awakening. You'll learn why the good woman myth is not only false, it's dangerous, and how the right attitude can change everything. First, we'll explore why trying to please only leads to being overlooked, and why demanding respect is what truly changes how a man sees you. Then, you'll discover the power of emotional sovereignty, the energy of a woman who no longer needs anyone else's validation to feel secure in who she is. Next, I'll show you why your boundaries, not your begging, are what define your worth in a man's eyes. We'll then decode the psychology of loss and how a man only begins to truly appreciate you when he realizes that your world does not revolve around him. And finally, I'll give you a practical, grounded ritual you can use to embody this new reality, not someday, but today. A shift that transforms you from an option to the priority. Let me be clear, this isn't about manipulation. This is a manifesto. It's a call to reclaim your power and become the kind of woman who demands respect simply by being who she is. So if your soul is tired of not being taken seriously, if you're ready to stop asking for your worth and start radiating it, then this is your moment. Seal your commitment to this journey.
Tap that like button to anchor your intention. Subscribe and activate notifications. This is your first step toward taking yourself seriously. Are you ready? Let's begin. She asked him why it felt like he didn't respect her. And his answer cut like a knife, sharp, honest, and awakening. I love you, he said. You're the kindest person I know, but you always agree with everything. Sometimes I don't even need to ask you because I already know what you'll say. In that moment, Elena woke up. She realized that in trying to be the good woman, she had erased herself from the relationship. She had become so agreeable, so predictable, so easy to please, that she had lost her own presence. She was no longer a voice. She was an echo. That's the trap of always wanting to please. When you never say no, your yes stops meaning anything. When you never disagree, Your agreement becomes empty. When you never set boundaries, he assumes you don't have any. And this isn't because he's cruel or selfish. It's just human nature. Attraction and respect thrive on contrast, on polarity. They require two whole, independent people meeting with awareness. But when you dissolve into him, when you become a mirror of his desires, his opinions, his needs, that polarity dies. You stop being the intriguing, magnetic woman he once felt drawn to and become a convenient extension of his life. And convenience, my dear soul, is the silent killer of respect and admiration. This is why the very first step to developing the kind of energy that commands respect is to unlearn the myth of the good woman. This doesn't mean becoming hostile or combative. It means giving yourself permission to be real. Because your worth isn't measured by how pleasant you are to him. It's measured by how faithful you remain to yourself. Your opinions matter. Your needs are valid. Your no is just as sacred as your yes. And once you start living from that truth, everything shifts. Your aura changes. You stop seeming like someone who needs approval and start radiating the power of someone who already approves of herself. Now that you've exposed the illusion that kept you stuck in self-erasure, it's time to build on that clarity. Because the next piece of unshakable feminine power is emotional sovereignty. Once you let go of the illusion of the good woman, the next step in building this magnetic attitude lies in one of the boldest acts of inner strength, reclaiming your emotional sovereignty. What does that mean? It means you no longer look to him or anyone else for permission, validation, or agreement to feel what you feel. You become the sole and final authority of your emotional world. Most women have been conditioned, often without realizing it, to outsource their emotional reality. They feel anger, but hesitate. Will he accept it? Will it upset him? Will he think I'm overreacting? They feel sadness, but they push it down so they don't seem needy. They feel proud of something, but they dim their joy so he doesn't feel threatened. And in doing this, over and over again, they unconsciously shrink. They adjust, edit, and censor their truth based on what they think he can handle. But what they're really doing is giving away their power.
The emotionally sovereign woman lives by a different code. She knows that her emotions are hers, and they are valid simply because they exist. She doesn't need someone else to agree in order to honor what she feels. If she's angry because a boundary was crossed, she doesn't apologize for it. She doesn't explode either. She speaks with grounded clarity. If she feels sad, she allows herself to feel it without guilt or shame. If she's joyful, she celebrates without shrinking to protect his ego. She doesn't expect him to understand all her feelings. She understands them herself, and that is enough. She's not confrontational. She's unapologetically honest. Her energy says, "This is how I feel. This is my truth. You don't have to agree. You don't even have to understand, but you will not dismiss it, because it belongs to me." Picture this. Laura is out to dinner with her partner. In front of his friends, he makes a sarcastic comment about one of her dreams, mocking it, belittling it. The old Laura would have laughed awkwardly, swallowed the hurt, and stayed silent to keep the peace. But this version of Laura, the emotionally sovereign one, doesn't do that. She doesn't shout. She doesn't make a scene. She simply turns to him. Her smile fades, and with a calm, steady voice, she says, "That comment was unnecessary.
It hurt me. We'll talk about this later. Then she turns away. The conversation moves on. But inside him, something just shifted. He hit a wall not of hostility, but of self-respect. He saw a woman who would not trade her dignity for the illusion of harmony. He saw a woman in command of her emotional space. And that quiet display of strength is far more powerful than any outburst or emotional plea. It stays with him, it changes him, and most importantly, it protects her.
When a woman stops asking for permission to feel, everything shifts. A man no longer sees her as someone to manage or placate, but as an equal force, someone whose emotional presence demands awareness. He begins to recognize that his actions have emotional consequences, and she's no longer someone who silently absorbs them. This change doesn't create distance. It creates a powerful, magnetic tension. It forces him to be more conscious, more careful, more respectful. He realizes she's not the kind of woman who will abandon herself to keep peace, and that realization, to a man with even a trace of maturity, is deeply attractive. What can't be controlled starts to earn respect, and what is respected soon becomes feared to lose. To live this emotional sovereignty, you must master the art of self-validation. That means when difficult emotions rise, you stop looking outside for permission or reassurance. You pause and you give it to yourself. If you're angry, you tell yourself, I have every right to feel this way. My anger is valid. If you're hurting, you let yourself cry and whisper, it's okay to feel this. I honor my sadness.
These inner affirmations are not small. They are everything. They become the bedrock of an emotional center so strong, outside opinions no longer shake you. So if you're ready to stop apologizing for your feelings and start owning them, make that decision now. Head to the comments and write this: my feelings belong to me. I don't need your approval to feel. That's not just a sentence, it's a declaration, a promise to yourself, a step toward joining a quiet revolution of women reclaiming their emotional freedom. And now that you've reclaimed your right to feel, you're ready to protect that emotional world. In the next section, we'll talk about boundaries, not as walls, but as sacred markers of your self-worth. Because if emotional sovereignty is your declaration of inner independence, then your boundaries are the outward sign of it. They are the lines that tell the world where your self-respect begins and where someone else's desires must end. And here's the truth no one talks about. A man doesn't measure your worth by how much you love him or how much you sacrifice. At his core, he measures it by how clearly you protect your boundaries. Because your boundaries, those lines you refuse to let anyone cross, are what show him the true value you place on your time, your peace, and your soul. If you don't set boundaries, you're silently telling the world, my peace doesn't matter. My time is free. My energy is endless. And the painful truth is, what costs nothing is rarely valued. Many women misunderstand boundaries. They fear it means conflict, selfishness, or pushing love away. They think love means total openness, no limits, no consequences, just forgiveness on repeat. Or worse, they mistake boundaries for requests. So they live in a constant loop of hoping, asking, and pleading. Could you please? Or would you mind letting me know when you'll be home? These soft appeals become the background music of their relationship.
That you must? But here's the thing. Pleading comes from a place of emotional inferiority. It assumes he holds the key, depending on his willingness to meet your needs. A boundary is the exact opposite of that. A boundary isn't a request. It's a personal decision. It's not about controlling him. It's about controlling your own response. Let me give you an example that changes everything. Say he frequently cancels plans last minute. The woman operating from requests will say, "That really hurts. Please try not to do it again," and wait, hoping he'll change. But the woman with boundaries, the woman who has reclaimed her attitude, doesn't ask, she acts. Next time he cancels, she doesn't argue, she simply says, "I understand something came up, but my time matters. If you're not sure next time, I'd rather not make plans." And then she continues with her life. Calmly. No drama, no second chances. And the next time he's vague or disrespectful of her time, she doesn't argue, she just declines. With grace, but with finality. What did she just do? She didn't ask him to change. She showed him the result of his actions. She sent the message through behavior, not words, that access to her time comes with conditions, and that, to the male psyche, lands like thunder. Because setting a boundary is a silent form of power. It's walking away from a conversation that becomes disrespectful. It's hanging up when his tone crosses a line. It's leaving a room that no longer feels emotionally safe. It's no longer being emotionally available to someone who only seeks you when it's easy or convenient. Each time you hold a boundary, you whisper something powerful to both him and yourself. I matter. My energy is sacred. My peace is not up for negotiation. And when a man encounters a woman with sacred boundaries, he has two choices.
The immature man, the one who craves control or submission, will feel frustrated. He'll likely pull away. And that, my dear soul, is not a loss. That is a blessing. Your boundaries just filtered out someone who would have only brought you pain. But the conscious man, a man of real value, he will feel something else entirely. Respect, admiration, and most of all, renewed attraction. Because now he sees that he's no longer dealing with a girl eager to please, but a woman who knows exactly who she is and what she won't tolerate. Your boundaries aren't walls that keep love out. They are the walls that guard your inner kingdom. And only a true king will be drawn to a kingdom that protects itself with honor. So stop asking him to appreciate you. Show him, through your standards, how deeply you appreciate yourself. Because actions always speak louder than pleas. If you want to anchor this truth in your own heart, go to the comments and write this declaration. My boundaries are not a request, they are the map of my self-respect. By writing it, you're not just affirming your own strength, you're also sending out a wave of empowerment, reminding other women of the power they hold in protecting what's sacred within them. Now that you've learned how boundaries create respect, it's time to go even deeper into the final psychological principle, one that not only awakens respect, but ignites a deep fear of losing you. This principle is known as the risk of loss, and it's not triggered by ultimatums or games. It's triggered in the moment when a man feels deep in his gut that your happiness, your peace, your life do not revolve around him, and that even if he were gone tomorrow, your world would still be full, rich, beautiful, and alive. That realization changes everything.
From a psychological and evolutionary point of view, We're wired to value what we fear we could lose. What is always available, always guaranteed, is often taken for granted. It's the emotional law of scarcity. If he feels you're always there, that your happiness depends on his attention, that you orbit around his moods, he stays in his comfort zone. He might love you, yes, but he won't stretch himself. He won't keep trying. Why would he? He has all your energy without having to earn it. But the moment that certainty begins to dissolve, he wakes up. Everything we've been building, emotional sovereignty, sacred boundaries, inner peace, none of it is just for show. These aren't tactics. They are evidence. Evidence that you are the son of your own universe. When he sees you pursue your passions, not for his praise, but because they set your soul on fire, when he sees you enjoy your solitude, not as loneliness, but as luxury, when he sees you surrounded by people who nourish you and decisions guided by your values, that's when he realizes you are not a satellite revolving around him. You are a whole planet with your own orbit, your own atmosphere. And if he wants to be a part of it, he must contribute light, not consume yours. I remember the story of Marcus, a man who admitted the woman who transformed him the most was the one who never needed him to be her center. Other women, he said, made me the core of their universe. It felt flattering at first, but then it became heavy, like I was responsible for their happiness. But with her, it was different. She had her own rhythm, her own joy, her own world. Sometimes I'd ask to meet, and she'd say, "I can't. Tonight is my night for myself." She didn't say it to punish me. It was just her truth. And every time she did, I didn't feel rejected. I felt respect and fear, the kind of fear that made me want to be better, to become worthy of her time. Because she didn't need me. She chose me.
And that, right there, is the secret. Men don't fear losing the woman who says, "If you leave me, I'll fall apart." They fear losing the woman who quietly lives the truth. "If you leave, I'll keep rising." That fear doesn't come from threats. It comes from inspiration. It's not about manipulating his emotions. It's about mastering your own. When you stop being emotionally dependent, when your happiness becomes your own responsibility, he stops seeing you as someone to rescue and starts seeing you as someone to earn. So stop asking, "How do I show him I love him?" Start asking, "How do I show myself I love me?" Don't strive to become essential in his life. Become irreplaceable in your own. Build a life so vibrant, so full of meaning, joy, and self-expression that his presence becomes a bonus, not the foundation. That's when he truly sees the risk of losing you, not because you told him so, but because you've shown him your life is already whole. And now he must choose. Either step up or step aside and watch you shine from a distance. In both cases, you win. Because once you understand the psychology of value, the power that comes from the risk of losing you, you unlock the final door. Now you're ready for the next step. The step that transforms everything from theory into reality.
What I'm about to give you isn't just advice. It's a daily ritual, a tool to help you embody this royal mindset starting right now. It's how you stop being an option in someone else's life and start becoming a non-negotiable priority in your own. We've broken down the psychology. We've exposed the patterns. We've understood the mindset. But real change only happens when knowledge becomes practice, when philosophy becomes habit. That's why this final key isn't a concept, it's a daily decision. A sacred practice to rewire your nervous system, rebuild your self-esteem, and tune your energy to the frequency of a woman who takes herself seriously. This ritual is called the Mirror Decree and the Sacred Calendar. Its purpose is simple. Stop being an option in others' lives. Start being the highest priority in your own. Part 1. The Mirror Decree. Your morning reprogramming. Each morning, before you touch your phone, before the world pulls you in, stand in front of a mirror. Look into your own eyes. Don't judge, don't fix, don't criticize. Just see yourself. The woman you are, the woman you're becoming. Take 3 deep breaths. Then, out loud, clearly and with presence, speak these words. I am the sovereign of my world. My feelings are valid. My boundaries are sacred. My peace is a priority. I do not beg for love, respect, or attention. I command them through my example. Today, I choose myself. Repeat this 3 times. Let every word land in your chest. This simple ritual is actually a powerful form of conscious self-hypnosis. It cuts through years of conditioning that taught you your worth comes from outside and rewires your mind with a new truth. You are already enough. Looking into your own eyes as you speak connects your self-image with your inner strength. Emotionally, neurologically, energetically.
Part 2. The Sacred Calendar, your daily act of devotion. After your mirror decree, pick up your planner, calendar, or just a notebook. And before you check messages, before you think about anyone else, do this one thing. Schedule an appointment with yourself. Just one, something small, intentional, and just for you. Maybe 15 minutes of peaceful reading, a 30-minute walk, a solo coffee break, a dance class, a nap, a quiet lunch. Whatever nourishes you. Now write it down. Once it's on your calendar, it becomes non-negotiable, as serious as a job interview or doctor's appointment. Why is this so powerful? Because through consistent action, you're training your brain to understand that your time with yourself is valuable, that your life doesn't revolve around being available to others. It revolves around honoring yourself. And something beautiful begins to shift. At first, you might feel guilty, you might feel selfish, but day after day, the guilt fades and something stronger takes its place, self-respect. Soon, when he calls you last minute to hang out, during your sacred time, you'll calmly say, "I'd love to, but I already have plans." And those plans are with you. Every time you honor that promise, your confidence strengthens. Your energy changes. You no longer give off the energy of need. You radiate abundance. And people will feel it. He will feel it. He'll notice that you're no longer orbiting around him. You've become your own center. And that, more than anything, commands deep respect and ignites his fear of losing you. But this ritual is not about making him want you more. It's about making you value yourself so much that his validation no longer determines your worth. And paradoxically, that's what makes him value you more than ever.
You stop being the woman who rearranges her world for his last-minute texts. And you become the woman whose day is a carefully crafted masterpiece. A woman whose life he may be invited into, but never directs. To anchor this ritual into your life, do one
final thing. Go to the comments of this journey and write this sentence, not just for others to see, but as a promise to yourself. My most important appointment is with myself. I am my priority. That sentence is a seed, a declaration, and a light for other women still trying to remember their worth. This is how the shift begins, with one sentence, one decision, one sacred promise to yourself. And so, my dear soul, we've arrived at the end of this journey. But what you've learned here isn't just a tip or trick. It's the foundation of a new attitude, one that, if you're brave enough to live it, can transform your entire life. Not just how men see you, but how you see yourself. You've peeled back the illusion of the good woman and realized something powerful. Constantly trying to please doesn't earn you respect. It only makes others comfortable. You've stepped back into your rightful place as the queen of your emotional world, no longer waiting for permission to feel, speak, or take up space. You've discovered the quiet strength of sacred boundaries, and now you know it's not your tears, your effort, or your loyalty that define your worth, but the limits you honor.
You've cracked the code of emotional psychology, the risk of loss. You now understand that a man only truly fears losing you when he knows that your world doesn't revolve around him. And most importantly, you've gained more than just awareness. You now have a daily ritual, a real-life tool that helps you live out this new way of being, a way to become the unwavering center of your own life. This attitude isn't a performance. It's not something you put on for effect. It's who you really are when you stop shrinking. It's the calm confidence of a woman who knows she has nothing to prove, the sharp clarity of someone who has decided what she will never allow again, the deep peace of a woman who has made her own presence a sacred, healing space. It's the unmistakable energy of someone who takes herself seriously. And when you live in this energy, you no longer compete for attention. You rise into a different class entirely, the kind of woman whose presence calls others to rise with her. You are no longer one of many options. You become the only choice for the kind of man who truly recognizes worth. And for everyone else, you become the filter that gently removes them from your life. Either way, you win.
So never forget this truth. The respect you deserve cannot be begged for. It must be radiated. The value you seek isn't something someone else can hand to you. It's something you claim for yourself. And the only time a man truly fears losing you is when you're no longer afraid of losing him. That is the paradox. That is the power. That is the only attitude that will ever make him take you seriously, deeply, completely, and forever. And now, to close this journey and make a sacred promise to yourself and the universe, go to the comments and write these words, this declaration to your soul. I do not ask for my worth. I embody it. My attitude is my power. Write it, mean it, and go into the world not seeking respect, but being respect in motion.